your face shines on me. I see who I really am in you. Show me who I really am in you.
Is that your prayer? Show me who I really am in you. Reveal the hidden identity. Shabasi. All right, beloved, that was In You by Kimberly and Alberto Rivera. And this is your glory teacher, heavenly success and ascension specialist, Karen Pina, coming tonight. I want to talk a little bit about why I created this leadership assessment for apostolic believers in this series of shedding off your personality. It might seem like an oxymoron, right? A leadership assessment and shedding off your personality. Well, it's not, because here's what I realized about assessments. Many of us are familiar with them because we have worked in corporations, or at some point in our training we had some sort of an assessment, whether it was a 360-degree feedback, whether it was, a DISC personality type assessment, or the Myers-Briggs, like I took. If you have been in any leadership position or management position in the world, at some point in time you have had a leadership assessment. And if you took one of those assessments, you know that they are based on man's psychologies, man's rudimentary and elementary wisdom and ideas. They are rooted in the world and how the world thinks. Worldly wisdom versus supernatural wisdom, right? It's human wisdom. And so, as I have been in training, that's actually my background. I have an HR and training background, and I have taught in public school systems. And so with that kind of slant toward teaching and training and coaching, as you all know, I have had a heart for the church and the body, and why we are so weak in the area of training, and why we don't think that we need training. And not only do we not think we need it, but if there is any, there's no budget for it. Nobody wants to pay for it, right? Whether it be hiring a coach or training like this or whatever the case may be. And then if you step inside of a local assembly, just pick one, there's not a budget for what they call Christian education, right? So some of us who are teachers like myself, we come along, we pitch in where we can. We teach Sunday school, we teach Bible study, we teach whatever needs to be taught, right? Because the church doesn't have a budget for it. And so, as I experienced all of this, my heart cried out, and I said, this is a travesty. Are you kidding me? That the world's children have access to better training and assessments than we do in the body, and we are kingdom leaders. Who needs to know more about their leadership style, how they lead, than we do? And so I began to talk to Father about this, and I also began to notice that a lot of the people who were in the world, they didn't even appreciate the assessments. Quite frankly, they hated them. And the reason why they hated them was because, one, they're poorly written, which means that people didn't understand them many times due to the wording. Two, someone had to fit you in a box, right? Based on the selections, there weren't many choices, and many times individuals were like, can I pick more than one? And you had to pick one choice, and you were not allowed to pick more than one, so it kind of pigeonholed you into this box, and many people didn't like that. Excuse me. So there was this whole category that some people felt like they didn't fit into. I didn't like them myself for that main reason. I felt like there was so much more to me than the little boxes that they wanted me to check on these assessments. And so, I began to talk to God about this, and I prayed about it, and He began to show me something, and He was like, yeah, you're right. Why does the world have something better? And so I believe this is what I am charged to do right now. I had been talking about it on our mailing list, and for a season, it looked like He was going to be steering me in a different direction. And as you know, now that the Glory Teacher site is up and running and I have fully ascended into that, He's kind of pulling me back into this. So for those of you who were praying and looking forward to it, here it is, right? So I want to just talk about the heart of the leadership style assessment tonight. That's really what I'm talking about, and why I feel a burden to administer it to you in this Shedding Off Your Personality series. Again, many times the assessments that you have been exposed to, they are based on human psychology, human wisdom, worldly wisdom. They're poorly written, they're limited, and so many times people don't like them. And also, one more reason people do not like assessments is because they're inaccurate. You may take one and you may go, that's not me. How many times has that happened to you? Even if it's just a basic quiz, right? It could be something as simple as your cooking style, where you like to cook, or what's your favorite color. And you go through these assessments and you're like, you might relate to one or two questions, right? But not necessarily all of it in one fell swoop. So again, these are the things that I begin to talk to God about. And what He began to show me is this. I did some research. I went and delved into my doctoral background. So I did some great research around leadership assessments. I looked at servant leaderhood, leadership. I actually talked to some people. I interviewed some people who actually are believers and use assessments in some way for creatives, prophetic people. So I found out quite a bit. And after I did all of my research, then I went back into prayer. And one thing that Father was impressing upon my heart was to make sure that this assessment is valid. And if you know anything about science, when an assessment is valid, it means that it can be tested and it can be administered to a group of people, one person, 5 people, 10 people, and it will always garner the same results. It is valid and it is reliable. And so, drawing upon my background and my studies in the doctoral field, He began to impress upon my heart that I can make this valid and reliable, and that you'll be able to see yourself in it when you rely upon the Spirit of truth, which is what I did when I created it. I didn't just arbitrarily pick these questions based on Jung psychology or any psychologist for that matter. What I did was I prayed, and He gave me specific questions to ask in categories. So I came away with one key thing that I think you'll find. Matter of fact, I know you'll find when you take this assessment is that there is a huge difference between measuring your skill set, which is what we are not doing, in comparison to measuring your spiritual development, right? Your character, your development into a mature man or woman of Christ. In other words, I am going to be administering this assessment to see where you need to shed off your personality so that the personality of God, His full personality, the full personality of the Godhead, so that it can come forth. So you will see where you are, and there will be a gap that He will fill via this assessment. So I know that He is more interested in that than He is in your skill set. I've talked about this before. Yes, He will use your skills. He can work through your skills for His glory, but He is not interested in your skill set when it comes to doing anything in the kingdom. He is more interested in your heart. He's more interested are your hands clean? Can you reflect me accurately? Can you be an example before the body? Especially if you're called into leadership, we don't need any more bad examples for leadership out here, and we don't need any more inglorious leaders. I mean, what good is a leader without any glory? No good. No good. Right? So, with all that being said, I want to tell you that this is designed through prayer, through research, through interviewing, but more importantly, it was designed because I have a heart and a desire for the body to become a mature stature of Christ, i.e. my mission to make you a more accurate reflection of Christ in every area of your life. So that's why I created a leadership assessment for apostolic believers. It's going to show you where you are, what you need to shed off, and where you are going in Him. How far you are, or how close you are from God's personality. Not yours, God's. So I hope that you have had a chance to take a look at some of the scriptures, some of our foundation scriptures. If you haven't done that, please pull those up. Again, I told you I wasn't going to be going over those. I want that word to be in your spirit. Before you take the assessment, I want you to read it out loud, okay, and let it come into your spirit man. Let your spirit man hear it, right, so that you can receive faith, right? So, the last beautiful aspect of this assessment is that it's going to utilize fivefold offices versus people, right? So it is looking at the fivefold offices in the kingdom, and if you think you've heard it all as it relates to apostles, prophets, pastors, teachers, evangelists, be on the lookout. And I know that you're going to hear something that you have not heard before. So I just want to take a quick peek at my notes, make sure that I'm covering everything. Oh, there's one other thing I want to leave you with tonight that I feel led to share with you. If you are looking to pray, learn how to pray for God's glory to show forth in every area of your life, I want you to pick up a copy of The Making. This is the book that Father graced me to write. It's The Making. And I'm just going to read a little bit of the table of contents for you, but really I wanted to share it with you from the perspective of praying and releasing the glory into your home, into your atmosphere, into your marriage, into your kids' life, right? So, chapter 1 is what is leadership and what is not leadership. Chapter 2 is a proper estimation of yourself. Chapter 3 is your heart, not your skills. It's talking about being Jesus-centric versus politically correct. Chapter 4 is God's leadership choice or your choice. There are some leaders that were sent, right, versus unsent. So did they go or did He send them? What does divine leadership do? And then I take a look at how you are reflecting His glory in your temple. What is the largest aspect of your being? Is it your spirit or your soul? And then in section 2, I take a look at glorious leadership, and that's where I lead you into the marks of the making of God's glory. What does that mean? This is a leadership development book and a book that ushers you into the glory, so you'll be able to take a look at specific marks to see if the glory is being demonstrated in your marriage, in your finances, in your career, in ministry, in service, and in your single state. And then I get into show forth His glory, which is about the revelation of His glory, passing through the darkness, kingly anointing. You can't steal God's glory. Praying for the glory of God, which is one of the reasons why I want to share this with you tonight. Unmasking misperceptions, irreverence, and deception around the glory of God. Protection from the counterfeit glory. Glory connections, and get up and walk in the glory already. Why don't you? And then, of course, everything we do must be anchored in love. So the last chapter is the oil of love, let it flow. Practical ways you can increase your love. Fearful leaders can't receive love, and how is your love life? So again, that's the table of contents from the making. I will post a trailer in the group, a video trailer, along with a link in terms of where you can pick that up if you desire to actually pray for the glory to be unleashed into every area of your life. All right, so I think that's it for me for tonight, you all. This is Apostle Karen Pina, your glory teacher, heavenly success, and ascension specialist, signing out, praying for you to have sweet peace, sweet rest, and a blessed evening. Shalom.